Welcome back. Sarcasm Speaks. Jared and Bob here. Um, we're fresh off of another Datzgiving, another successful year of way too much food, um, but really fucking good food. So that
Yeah,
that
t
porchetta was pretty solid.
and that's fun. It's funny too because I think the pork had got a little fucked up when the Traeger went out on me.
Hmm.
So I just kind of like lost track of the hopper, and it went cold at one point, so got a little screwy on that.
Yeah, I mean it rebounded nicely.
Yeah,
Um,
I got it going again. I don't know. It's
The duck was amazing. So we fried a duck this year. For anyone that's
Yep,
been following long enough, um, we've usually fried a turkey because that's the only way that I'll eat a turkey is if it's
yep.
fried. Um, we fried a duck this year instead, and that was quite good.
Yeah, I mean it's so fucking easy too. Ducks are
Yeah,
like 5 pounds usually.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, the even just getting that. So on Wednesday, I had a shitty work day. So I worked the group at 6 a.m.
hmm,
I think I trained a guy. I ended up leaving the gym at like 9:45 or something. But I also had to be back around like 3 because I had to
yeah,
work the night. So it was like um just it's a shit day.
right.
Um so in the middle of the day, I'm like, all right, well, let me try to get organized for this weekend. Because what most people like to do is they'll just do one big grocery order. I'm like, not gonna fucking work because I always forget shit. Like
Yeah, yeah.
so I actually have to do like usually like two. Um, so I go to Market Basket in Hanover and no duck. I'm like, okay, that's a thing. I know they have them sometimes, but okay, no duck, fine.
Yeah.
So come home from there and I'm like, I wonder if I could order a frozen duck to get here in time. I wonder if I could.
Yeah.
And as I was looking, I saw that Walmart has frozen ducks and the Weymouth store did not have them, but the Avon store did.
Okay.
So I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to Avon. Avon's convenient from work. It's not convenient from the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, because it's like you got to go 3 to
Harrison Boulevard.
93 to
No,
24.
I'd have to cut through
Oh, you just
everything.
go Harrison Boulevard the whole way. Yeah,
Well,
that's
no,
true too.
I can't go Harrison Boulevard the whole way, but like
Well,
there's
yeah, I know what.
cut
Yeah,
through
yeah,
Randolph and
you know what I mean. Yeah,
yeah, and get over there. But I'm like, fuck, that's not convenient. And I can't get it on the way to work because it's a fucking dock. Like, can't
yeah,
just leave it in my car. Um, so then I'm looking and I'm like, all right, I forget what it might have been like Instacart or something or something was saying like Shaw's has them. And I'm like, all right, well, I can't see if the Weymouth Shaw's has them. So run over to the Weymouth Shaw's. They had a frozen duck. Okay, so I'm like, that actually wasn't like too bad of a fucking attempt.
right.
But on a day where I was supposed to go home and like relax, because again, like opening and closing, I did no such thing. All I did was fucking run around like a dickhead. But got the duck, thought it out. So then Friday, in the morning, I actually bought. Have you ever bought Matt Chatham's
Yeah,
spices?
yeah, I'm a big fan of those actually. The Rub
So
Smoke Love or whatever it's called.
yeah, so I ordered those spices like last week, and I got like the 3 pack, and then I got the cherry wood smoked salt.
Okay, is that new?
I don't know, it's on there.
I've only ever
So
had the beef rub and then the gold chicken one.
yeah, so there's a third one now. It's a gold bark bold.
Okay,
I think it's just got like some chipotle and jalapeno in it or something.
nice. All right.
Like it's yeah, I spent like $40 and it's like the three spices, the smoked salt, and no, that's it. And it was like free shipping, so it's like
Yeah,
pretty good deal, all things considered.
right.
Um, So I put the smoked salt on the duck and left it exposed in the fridge overnight. And yeah, I mean, so like that's all I did to it. Didn't do anything else. And then in the fryer it went.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it came out really good.
I mean, the fryer is so fucking easy.
It is.
The hardest part
Yeah.
about the hardest part with the fryer
Is keeping the thing
is
lit.
keeping the flame going and cleaning it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, would recommend would recommend porchetta and duck as your thing. And people are like, well, what's duck even taste like? How much different is it? I'm like, okay, it's still a bird. So it
Yeah.
still tastes like a bird,
Yeah. It tastes
but
like poultry.
it's better than turkey. It just tastes better. It's and if you've
Yeah.
had like duck breast, which most people probably have, like it can come like like it can come medium.
Right.
Um, there's a lot of fat in the skin and you can like crisp it up. Like there's a lot you can do with it.
Right. Right.
Duck confit is usually like a thing, cooked in fat. Like,
That would be, yeah, I like a good duck confit.
um, so yeah, big fan of the duck. I mean, porchetta is always good. I
Yeah.
forgot. I actually made it with pistachio this time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't even
wow.
remember.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
dude, pistachio is way better. It's a cornetta. It's not a
cornetto.
croissant.
Um, it's not that. Did I send you that? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that guy, he fucking hates the French. Um, yeah, so I made my like paste that goes in the pork. I made it with pistachio, which I don't think it really changed too much. It's pine nuts and pistachio. It's not gonna
Yeah.
change a
I
lot
mean,
there.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, outside of that, morale was low in this house today. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
Fucking
definitely
the hosts were overserved,
yeah, definitely
1,000%.
moving a little extra slow. Yeah.
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 Well, she was fucking yakking this morning.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That was that good, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's like it's one of those things like we had so much food in the house, right?
Right.
And then like I think back and I had a duck leg, I had a piece of pork, I had a mac and cheese ball, and like maybe like a little bit more. Like I barely ate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know it was the same thing for her. Like I know it. She barely ate. She wasn't even home in the middle of the day, so like we didn't have like a lot of lunch or
Right.
anything. So
Right. Yeah, that
uh,
was one of those things. Like I mean, I ate quite a bit, but I was one of the first people to get up and go. So I didn't want to take a lot, right? I didn't want to be that dickhead. So I took like a little bit of everything. And then after that, I was
went
like,
back.
yeah, let me go back for another piece of duck here. Um, and then by the end of the night, I was crushing all the desserts. There was just so many of them.
There's so many.
The whatever Lauren made were so fucking good. The those like blonde brownies and then like the
Oh
snickerdoodle cookies. Dude,
yeah, those.
I think I had two of each. Like I think I had two snickerdoodle cookies and two brownies.
Yeah. So the brownies must have been a hit because they were not left
Yeah.
this morning.
And then I ate I think I ate more ended up eating more dessert probably because I had some of Amy's apple crisp.
Yep.
Um what else did I eat? I feel like there was something else that I ate too. I don't even know. But yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to put parameters on next year though.
I think
Can't be having no, because it's like unfortunately it's like yeah, a lot of it like I stored a bunch of stuff,
yeah.
but I woke up this morning and looked around and I go fuck. So I didn't get
Yeah.
to it last night. So it's like I threw out like 3 trays of food.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean that's what we did. Like when we had it here, like we threw out the stuff we didn't want. And then I basically ate the stuffing like every day for 9 days until it disappeared because I fucking love that stuffing. It's like I could just sit and eat spoonfuls of that.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. Um, yeah, but that's what we used to do. Like we've like
Yeah,
I
I
would
just
not go
can't.
food shopping that week. Like I would grab like some things here and there, but like knowing that we were just gonna have tons of fucking leftovers.
Yeah. So all in good fun, but yeah, I'm gonna have to make some rules for next year.
Yeah.
Or I do less. It's like,
Yeah.
but
I
that's the thing is
think
like, but usually, so, and to
I
be
think
fair,
I'm
there's
out on
one,
the mac and cheese balls.
think you're out.
Yeah, I mean, they never seem to go
I mean,
smoothly.
so this is the thing. They
I
always
think
taste good.
last year that was I think the best year for them. But
So
like there's always some
when,
sort of issue, right? Like they don't
when,
stick. They're
when
like
did you
three
make it
years
this year?
ago, in the morning.
Yeah, that
So
might be
I made it that morning and then just put them in the fridge.
make a day ahead of time. But now we're
Yeah.
talking like, okay, so now it's a Friday and you have to fucking not
Right.
only work, but you have to make your own dinner and you have to make this shit.
Right. Right. Yeah, so I mean,
What happened 3 years ago? I don't even remember.
3 years ago I made it like in the moment, like as people were there,
Oh,
and it was way too hot. Like you couldn't do
yeah.
anything with it.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, I mean the freezer fixed it, it salvaged it. I
Yep.
also just made way too much.
Well, that's
It,
always what
it
happens,
yeah,
man. It's
it
like
worked out that I had leftover brisket from Monday when I was off, when I made a brisket, and I was like, oh, I have so much extra mac and cheese, like I'll just make a brisket mac and cheese.
yeah. It's like
But
I
yeah.
did the same because I remember one year I made too much stuffing and at your house and an entire tray didn't get touched. So we gave it to fucking Clovis.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did I do this year? Fuck it. I'll just make two again. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, you know that that's too much.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you are fucking well aware. And I'm like, oh, well, I like it. And I'm like, we didn't even finish two full trays. I'm sorry, we didn't even finish one full tray. So we have like a tray and a half or a tray and a
Right,
quarter.
right, right.
Like, dude, gotta stop. And again, it's like I gotta come up with something for next. Like, people need to bring like fucking flowers or something because you just can't have that much food.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely, you can't say it all gets eaten because obviously it doesn't, but like
Nope.
at least a little bit of all of it gets eaten, right? Like there's
Yeah,
never anything that's like, oh yeah, no, like no one doesn't touch anything, right? Like everything
yeah,
gets eaten. It's just there's so much.
yeah. It just
It's
can't.
hard to finish one thing because there's so much.
Yep. And this is like what I was trying to tell my mother. I might even just tell her because we're hosting. And she's like, okay, well, let me know what I can bring. I'm like, Ma, I'm gonna tell you, like, you can't bring a lot of anything.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, well, I can't bring nothing. I go, you might have to.
Yeah.
But I think she was making, I don't know why. She was like, she never bakes, but I think she baked some anisette cookies. I'm like, you can bring fucking six cookies if that's like what you're doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
because this is too much.
Yeah, I know. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. Last year, the meat bar in town had they had a sale on New York strips. Um, and it was like the roast itself. So you had to like buy the roast, but then they would butcher it for you. So I think what I ended up doing was I got like a, whatever. I got like a 12-pound roast, and then I got, maybe 6 or 7 steaks out of it. And then I got like a 5-pound roast that I made. Um, but I'm probably gonna have to figure out if I can find like a small turkey because my mom and Amy obviously like turkey and I don't. So I might
Yeah.
actually, since we didn't fry a turkey this year, I will not consume turkey at all in calendar year 2024, which I'm not even mad about. I'm actually kind of
Yeah, I
excited
mean,
about it.
because the other thing too is I was when so I do plan on frying one on Thanksgiving, but I was considering I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just because I go it's gonna be a thing, so I'm like, I'll just fucking make some turkey. But um there'll be entirely too much food for that too. I gotta fucking really pay attention to what the fuck I'm doing. But I was actually considering uh butchering the turkey and then just frying, not frying, smoking the pieces.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I'm like, smoked turkey's not that good. It's just not.
No.
And like some people will be like, "Oh, this is really good." I'm like, "It's not. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's just not that good."
No. No. Yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah, if you smoke it, it's better than every other method than except
Frying.
for frying. But smoking a turkey, it's so easy for it to dry out
Yeah, and
because
it's
it's
just
gonna like I know it's like the whole low and slow thing, but like you're gonna cook it for like fucking 6 hours, right? Like it's
yeah, and it's like, yeah, okay, so then it's like, well, you can brine it. It's like, great, that's another step. And
yeah,
you can inject it. I go, okay, so now it's two steps.
right.
And then make sure you like get a spray bottle and spritz. I'm like, this is too much fucking work
Yeah.
for not a lot of
Or
reward.
you have to
Like,
spatchcock it and you're like, all right, cool. So now I'm cutting through bones and shit.
yeah, I mean, like, but so I would be doing that anyway, because if I was
Right.
gonna break it up, but like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and I'm just like, all this, all this for turkey.
All this just to make the turkey not suck.
It's like, why do we do this?
Yeah.
But yep, so now we're gonna be starting the 2 weeks of me talking shit about Thanksgiving food, so
Yeah.
at work.
Yeah. It's gonna be
Because now
fantastic.
because now people are like, oh well, if we're gonna eat turkey, what are we gonna eat? Duck and porchetta, that's the answer.
Yeah. That
Like
is
for
the
the love
correct
of God,
answer.
make a fucking prime rib roast at Christmas. Like what the fuck are we
Yeah.
doing here?
Yeah. Fuck, that porchetta was so good. Maybe, maybe I have to do that. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta figure it out. I got like another 2 weeks to figure it out. So we'll see. But yeah, no, stick your fucking green bean casserole up your ass.
I'm not even getting into the sides on that shit. Like,
Yeah.
fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not even. I don't even. I don't. I just like I know we do it every year, and we probably will. But like, I don't even know if I have like the fucking capacity to like talk shit about the like because it's like at first it's like you're excited about it. It's like, oh my God, I've like made some stuff, and I'm like, dude, we've been doing this. I think we did 3 years at your house,
Yep.
1 year in Weymouth, and we probably did it twice in Mansfield.
I think so. Yeah.
And like 6 years later, I'm like, I just don't even have fucking time for this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's accurate.
Yep. And I think so. I think my Thanksgiving Day menu is gonna be um whatever we do for like appetizers. Like I like shrimp cocktails, so I usually like to make sure I at least get some of that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, charcuterie, whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna do ravioli with meatballs, and
Very nice. Are
then
you
it'll
making your
be
own?
yeah, I'm gonna buy them. What kind of shit is that? Um, again,
No, no,
portion
no. I mean the
controlled.
ravioli.
Oh, the ravioli? No, no, no. I'm gonna buy them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're gonna make your own meatballs.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
I
I'm gonna
haven't I
buy
haven't
them
purchased
because
a meatball for my
they're
own consumption in fucking forever.
never. I
Yeah,
have never spent my own money on meatballs purchased. No, I have eaten purchased meatballs, and they're fucking suck.
right, right.
Um, no, I'm not gonna make. I'm not good enough at making ravioli yet. I'm
Yeah.
not. So it just not. I need more practice with it, and I haven't practiced since like last winter. So no
Yeah.
dice on the ravioli yet. I gotta fucking figure that out too. Why it always sucks.
Well, we got a whole new winter now to figure out your pasta making skills. So
I was thinking about making a pasta making station somewhere in this house, but I don't know where. And it's like the garage is too dirty and the kitchen's just not that big. So,
yeah, yeah. What about the
so
basement?
basement's unfinished, so same
Oh
idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Although the garage, I probably could do it. I would just need like a surface.
Yeah. You can make like a clean room in the garage.
Yeah.
Just hang plastic sheeting everywhere. I mean, you just need like PVC and plastic sheeting, basically.
Honestly, it's like not even like that's the thing. My garage isn't even that dirty though. So it's like
No,
I
no, but
just
it's
need
just
like
like
a
dust and sawdust if you're cutting wood and shit like that. Like, whatever you got going on.
yeah.
But
We'll see.
that would be funny to have a clean room, a quasi clean room,
All
pasta
I need
making
is a
station
clean
in your
corner.
garage. Yeah, yeah. So
That would be fuck. I could probably do that in the back corner. Just have my structure there and just put the fucking shit out when I need it.
ideas are flowing. Um, all right. So I stumbled across this the other day. I was trying to find it exactly um before we got like started going, and I couldn't find the exact post. It was somewhere on social media. I was kind of pissed I couldn't figure it out. But I'm gonna have to do my best at paraphrasing the gist of it. So it has to do with Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense. The guy's name is Pete Hegseth. And what I saw, I can't remember whether it was on Instagram or Twitter. But on one of them, it was screenshots of like, 4 or 5 different news outlets, and they all had the same exact headline or something really similar, where it was like Trump nominates Fox News host for Secretary of Defense. And another one was like, host of Fox and Friends becoming Secretary of Defense. And it was like, people are just talking about how, like, oh, how is he qualified to be Secretary of Defense? Like, he's a news anchor on a TV show. So I was like, yeah, that is kind of weird. Like that's weird. Let me just Google the guy, right? Like who is this guy? Well, if you didn't hate the legacy media already, for the last 10 years and what they've been doing, here's another example for you. So Pete Hegseth happens to be a weekend anchor on Fox and Friends, right? So yeah, that the headline is not incorrect. However, it is misleading. And it gets people to be like, oh yeah, no, how is this guy qualified? He's not qualified. He's going to be the Secretary of Defense. He's going to be in charge of the military and all this stuff. And it's like, all right, well, let me let me read you a little bit about the weekend host of Fox and Friends. Uh, so he served in the military. Um, After graduating from Princeton in 2003, uh, he joined the military and served at Guantanamo Bay as part of the New Jersey Army National Guard. He remained there until 2005. The following year, he became a first lieutenant and was deployed with the 3rd Brigade of the 101st Airborne Division to Baghdad. He served as an infantry platoon leader. So he was boots on the ground. He was an infantryman. So he wasn't like, some guy that sat in a tent somewhere and gave instructions. He was infantry. Toward the end of his tour in 2006, he served as a civil military operations officer in Samara. I don't know where that is. I'm assuming it's in Africa somewhere. Um, he returned to active duty in 2012 as a captain. He was then deployed to Afghanistan with the Minnesota Army National Guard and acted as a senior counterinsurgency instructor at the Counterinsurgency Training Center in Kabul. Hegseth, a major, serves in the Individual Ready Reserve, so he's still in the reserves. He has also been awarded 2 Bronze Stars and a Combat Infantryman's Badge for his service overseas. So he was in the army for a while, right? After he graduated from Princeton, right? So he's not dumb. Um, Joined the army, right? Went overseas, went to Iraq, right? Did his whole thing, left the military, rejoined the military like 5 years later, um, with the Minnesota National Guard, and then got deployed to Afghanistan. So he's been in Iraq and in Afghanistan. He's been awarded 2 Bronze Stars, um, 2 Army Commendation Medals, which I don't really know what that is, but he's got a Combat Infantryman Badge, again, which that means like he was boots on the ground fighting. He wasn't just kind of like chilling. Um, National Defense Service Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal, GWAT Medal, Service Medal, Army Service Ribbon, NATO Medal. He's got all these different awards and decorations and badges and all this stuff. Um, but yeah, he's the weekend news host on Fox and Friends. So you see what I mean? Like this is just it's again, it's just if you didn't already hate the media, like how do you not hate them now? Like even more, right? Like all they do
It's
is
the
lie and miss and maybe they don't lie out well, they certainly do lie outright, but maybe they're not outright lying in this instance with this guy, but they're doing everything but, right. They are so misleading, and they're leading people to believe that this guy is just a Fox News host, right? Tucker Carlson, right? Like Tucker Carlson was on Fox News forever, right? Like, oh yeah, no, he's no better than Tucker Carlson, right? If you read through this stuff, how is he qualified to be the Secretary of Defense? Uh, well, maybe when you actually figure out who he is, you realize he served almost 2 decades in the military and actually deployed overseas twice to the Middle East and fought like actual fighting.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where all of those people, they're so quick to be like, educate yourself on like fucking God knows what.
Yeah.
But like then
And
they're
he
like, oh,
retired as a major.
like
In
how
2021, he retired as the rank of a major.
yeah, and they're all like, oh, it's what qualifies him to do this? And it's like, I don't know, maybe his qualifications. That's where I would start.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It's like again, with the majority of the people, I know obviously he won the election, but like the people who are loudest on social media and other media forms, they're just so fucking insufferable too, because it's like, they just look at everything he does as bad and everything he proposes just like is a problem.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's just non it's yeah, it's like legit just like nonsense, like actual nonsense, not just like saying it, as
Right.
the way you
Right.
use that word. And like, because you see it's like, oh, he's nominated Tulsi Gabbard for whatever. It's like, can't believe he's putting a Russian asset into that position. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Director of National Intelligence.
Like, where are we go? Like, where is this shit coming from?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and I forget what the other ones too, and obviously like RFK bad and like
Yep.
all this shit. It's just like, fuck off.
Yeah. For real. It's it's pretty crazy, right? Like it's just and unfortunately there's plenty of people, right? I was going to say I don't know how there is, but there is, right? And there's plenty of people today that either aren't smart enough, don't care enough, or like whatever. They just don't look into anything, and they see a headline from the New York Times, right, that says Fox News host going to be Secretary of Defense, right? Or Russian asset going to be the director of national intelligence, right? And people just see that and they go, "Oh my god, this is awful." Right? Like the country's going to fall apart. Like genuine people that might not, yeah, they're probably not super intelligent, right? Or they might just not have the time. Could be either or both. But like there's going to be people that read those headlines and go, "Oh my god, what is happening to the country?" When in reality, that's not the truth. Like legacy media has been manipulating the way they report the news, right? To make it look like it's something that it's not. And you're misleading those people, right? That I said are either don't have the time or don't have the intelligence to know otherwise.
And the other problem is with how polarized everyone is too. You can't have someone come on and go, "Hey, I actually looked into this guy. Might be a good nomination.
Yeah.
Like, he's done XYZ. Could be good."
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no conversation anymore. Like, that's it. It's over. Like, yeah, it could be.
Could be.
But then, there's no outrage in that.
Right.
Or someone then be like, "Oh, I can't believe you're betraying us. Everything he does is bad." Dumbest time to be alive.
It is the dumbest shit ever. I was trying to see who the current Secretary of Defense was or is. Lloyd Austin. Okay, yeah, I mean he's a general
Well,
or
so
was a
the other thing,
general.
so not for nothing, the other thing too, what do you know? Like, was Donald Rumsfeld Secretary of Defense?
He was, yeah, under
Okay, so
Bush.
he's the only one that I can name, and the only reason I can name him is because September 11th happened when he was in office,
Yeah.
and that's the only reason that I know.
Oh wow, this is interesting. Donald Rumsfeld, I didn't know this. He was the Secretary of Defense in 1975 to 77 under Gerald Ford, who invented the car.
Invented the car.
And again for George W. Bush from '01 to '06. He was both the youngest and the oldest Secretary of Defense.
More blankets and less blankets.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but like again, so I don't know who's been Secretary of Defense since him because again, 9/11 was just like such a thing.
Yeah.
Like we knew in 2001, I was 11 years old, and I mean maybe it was also a function of being home, but I lived in my parents' house until 2011. So or maybe not because I was at school, but um generally you don't even know who these people are
Right.
unless they do something really, really fucking stupid. But in general, like you don't know who the Secretary of State is, and
Yeah.
like
Usually not. Right.
you knew who again, you knew who Colin Powell was. But that was a weird time. Condoleezza Rice, I forget what she was. I don't even know her position or what it was.
She Secretary of State?
I don't know what was Colin Powell then.
He was Secretary of Defense.
No, that was Donald Rumsfeld.
Well, he wasn't there the whole time. He was only there from '01 to '06. Maybe they were both Secretary of State.
No, Colin Powell definitely wasn't.
Yeah, Colin Powell was not. I'm looking at a list of all the
So he
Secretary of
so Colin
Defense.
Powell was Secretary of State. So
Okay.
what was Condoleezza Rice?
She probably was too.
Oh, she
Generally,
she was after him.
yeah, generally people don't
Oh, she
stay in
was.
that position very long.
Yeah, so Colin Powell was the first was okay. They were both Secretary of State. Anywho. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean like think you only knew about Howell and Rumsfeld because of what was going on at the time. And then I probably only knew of Condoleezza Rice because Dave Chappelle made fun of her
Yeah.
on Chappelle's show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I was watching South Park, stuff like that. But I was gonna say it's like I don't know about these people for a legitimate reason.
Right. Right.
And again, I don't know who has been in their position since then either. So I don't think well, it's not nearly as important as people are making it either. So it's like the only one I don't know about is who's the guy with the sketchy past? Um
Gates.
yeah. I don't know his deal. I don't know his story. Doesn't sound good. It sounds like he's got some skeletons in that closet. But
So what I heard, because Finn started talking about this last night, um, I didn't feel like getting into it in the middle of a fucking party about politics. So I just kept my mouth shut. But what I heard about Matt Gaetz was there were allegations thrown at him about being involved in child sex trafficking. Um, it turns out whatever charges I think went to court and got thrown out because apparently what happened was he was at a party somewhere and there was a girl that was there that was 17. Um, so again, is he a good judge of character? Probably not, right? Like, what are you doing at a party where there's a
right,
17-year-old or at a bar or something? Maybe she had a fake ID, but who knows? Who cares? It doesn't matter.
right.
You found yourself in this position. It's not a good look, right? But so those charges were thrown out, right? They were found like unsubstantiated or whatever. And then I saw this on Twitter, someone traced who brought the charges up, and it was like the prosecutor was funded by some corporation that also received money from Kevin McCarthy, who
Oh
was
my
the
fucking God.
former who
Yeah,
was
and
the
he
former
fucking went
Speaker
at
of the
him for
House,
whatever the fuck.
and Matt Gaetz is the one that removed Kevin McCarthy from his position as Speaker of the House.
They're all fucking assholes, dude.
So
In they're
there's
oh my
there's
God,
a
they're all
there's a
fucking cunts.
thought there's a thought out there that after Gates fucked over McCarthy, right, and got him removed, that McCarthy did some snake shit and found a way to go after Matt Gates, right? So the issue is everything was thrown out when it got to court because it was found out that like he was fine. Like he was, found not guilty, right? Because you're not found innocent, you're found not guilty. Or the court it didn't even go to verdict, right? I think the judge just threw it out because it
Yeah,
was unsubstantiated claims, right? But but that's not what people remember.
correct.
People remember he was involved in a court case about child sex trafficking. So now someone like you, right, that just said that to me goes, "Oh, he's got a checkered past, right? He's kind of sketchy." Well,
He shouldn't be.
turns out it might be some dirty politics going on actually.
No. That was the other thing too. I didn't know this the whole situation. I just knew there was something. And it's one of those things too, like you said, hey, it's a 17-year-old at a bar, at a party, whatever. And it's like,
Yeah,
I do believe in coincidences. And hey, everybody get like you got one, right? Like that
right,
seems to
right,
be it. It seems to be again an unsubstantiated claim, and it seems like if you dig far enough, you can see that fuckery is afoot.
right.
Um,
Yeah, one time is an accident, two times is a coincidence, and three times is a habit, right? Like
yeah, I was gonna say you don't get fucking three strikes on like stuff with
well, no, no,
kids,
no. I
but
just mean like in general,
oh
right?
yeah,
Like accidents do happen. Like
yes,
again, like should you be at a place where you're at a bar or a party or something where a 17-year-old? No, you shouldn't. But people
yep,
have fake IDs and people get into some shit and like whatever, right? Like it's not your responsibility to walk around and check everyone's ID that's in the establishment where you are.
Oh. Okay. So yeah, I guess that's not even that much of a fucking sketchy one. But yeah, but so like even just take that, right? So Gabbard's a Russian asset.
Yep.
This other guy's a fucking news anchor.
Yeah.
And this other one's a sex trafficker. Like that's who he's putting in his cabinet. And it's like you don't have to have a lot of brain cells, but like you also don't have to open your mouth either.
Right.
Like these people are fucking I don't know. These people are fucking stupid and they just again, it's a little bit it's the same idea. Like you're putting way too much stock into shit that just doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
it's
I just don't think people like what they what they're going to be doing like
oh yeah, no,
as a
they're
presidential.
they're gonna be like running through they're just gonna strip everything down. Like that Doge thing, like the Department of Government Efficiency that Vivek and Elon Musk are running. Like they're literally just gonna go around and just allegedly, right? We'll see, right? But what they're claiming is that they're just going to go around and just start cutting programs and cutting departments and being like, that's stupid. We get rid of that. Vivek is on record multiple times actually saying the best way to reduce the federal government, and he's smart, right? Obviously, he's worth millions, if not billions of dollars, right? He's a venture capitalist, entrepreneur, whatever. He's a say whatever you want about him. He's smart, right? But the way he said this also protects them from lawsuits because he goes, here's how you reduce the federal government. He goes, you say, if your social security number ends in an even number, you're fired. You no longer work for the federal government. And then he goes, that reduces immediately the head count by 50%, right? Roughly, right?
Right.
And then he goes, from there, you kind of gather your ducks, see where you're at. And he goes, now you say, if your social security number starts with an even number, you're fired. And then you just reduce the federal government by 75%. And you're protected from wrongful termination because it's non-discriminant. It's literally a social security number that was assigned to you at random when you were born.
Yeah. So here's my thing. Great idea. Disagree. You need to go in and fucking fire people that suck and people who have been there too long. And
Well, the issue with that is lawsuits.
well, so this requires the work piece
Yeah.
because I'm no lawyer. Maybe cousin Brad would know a little bit better than me, but wrongful termination doesn't always mean discriminatory, right?
I think yeah, probably.
Well, it is because you could be because in my opinion, being fired just because of what your social security number ends or begins with, frankly, that's fucking bullshit. In my opinion, that's bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean it's just that it's kind of the only fair way to do it.
So I would argue that the
It's
fair way to
objective.
do it,
It's the only objective way to like purely objective way to do it.
yes, that's probably correct. Because the other way requires work,
Right.
which is my argument is if you guys want to cut all this shit, you need to like actually put the work in, find out which agencies suck, find out which agencies are over bloated. Now I'm sure they all are,
Well, yeah.
but like looking at the jobs and just deleting the position, then and again, so again, I'm not a workers comp attorney or anything, but if your position no longer exists and that's why you're fired, it's a little bit different than, well, your social security number ended with a two, so I guess you're out of luck.
Right.
Because then it's like you're losing your job by chance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're that's a you also lose good workers too.
Correct. And that's my problem is 50-50 shot that you're going to lose a good worker.
Right.
And I'd rather keep the good ones.
Right.
Get rid of the bad ones, get rid of the useless ones, get rid of and you will lose some good employees by eliminating positions.
Right.
That will happen too.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's too much, so too much. But yeah, people are freaking out about that too. They're like, oh my God, they're gonna get rid of all the welfare for the poor people. It's like, no, you have to like you have to fucking
Yeah.
use a brain cell where it's like they're getting rid of the government, the employees, the agencies, all of that stuff. They're not gonna fucking just get rid of fucking welfare.
Right. Right. Yeah, because then people
And
are like, well, how are these departments going to function? Whatever. And it's like, they don't function now.
yeah, they barely function
Like, if you
now.
ever tried to interact with any sort of federal government department,
Everyone
it's
has with the
impossible.
RMV, you should know.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Like you're telling me that the RMVs are an efficient
Yeah,
use
not a
of
chance.
time and resources.
Well, it's
Or I always those are state,
bureaucracy.
but those
It's
aren't federal,
like,
those are state.
you know what I mean? It's just classic. You have, to use the RMV for an example, right? You have the tellers. Let's just call them tellers, right? Say there's 20 of them. You break them into groups of five. All right. So every five has one manager, right? So now you have 20 tellers, you have five managers. And then those five managers, maybe three of them report to another manager and two of them report to another manager. So now you have another level of management above the people managers, right? That is uh two more, right? And then maybe they report to one other person who is like the branch manager, right? And then that branch manager reports to the regional RMV manager. And then all of the regional managers report to the head of the state RMV, right? And then all of the 50 states have a head of an RMV that reports to the RMV czar that sits in the White House, right? So
Right.
it's
Which
like
is
you
probably
have,
has like a northeast
yeah, yeah. So you have
czar,
a
a
you have a
mid-Atlantic.
7 or 8 level layer of bureaucracy and management that doesn't need to be there.
For it to run that badly.
Exactly, for it to run that in inefficiently.
So bad.
Yeah. But like that's how everything works. That's how the corporate world works too. Everyone has a fucking manager, right?
I saw
Everyone's manager
I,
has a manager, and it's like how
yeah.
fucking far away are you from? So like the place I work now has like an HR code, so we call it there's a band we call it band and zone. It has to do with like your job function and like what level you're at that correlates to like, you know, job title, service time, and pay. But then there's also something different that's called a level, right? So everyone in the company gets a level, and it's like L1 all the way down to I think L8. So the lower the number, the higher up you are in the food chain, right? So the CEO of our company is L1. There's only one. there's only one person in the whole company that's L1, and it's the CEO. Anybody that reports directly to the CEO is an L2. Anyone that reports to someone that reports to the CEO is an L3, right? Like so on and so forth. My level I think I'm a level 6. So there are 6 Kevin Bacons in between me and the CEO of my company. Is it completely necessary? I don't know, probably not, right? But like that's how it works, right? And I think we go all the way down to an L8. I think is how far away we get. So it gets a little confusing, right, from our standpoint, because like the level just means how far away you are from the CEO. It has nothing to do with your band and zone, which again has to do with seniority, job title, salary, like all that stuff. Because you can be someone who is relatively high in the service side of it, right? Like you could be a senior vice president of some department, but you might be an L5. right? Just because there's so many layers in between you and the CEO, which makes it super weird, right? So like I'm an L6, but like there could be a senior vice president somewhere that's only an L5, right? And it's like my boss isn't a senior vice president, but he's on the same level as, you know what I mean? Like it gets goofy when you get into some departments, depending on how big they are, right? Because the bigger the department, to like finance, right? It's a financial institution. So the finance department is fucking massive, right? So it's like that's where you get some goofy shit, right? You get someone that has like a really lofty title, but they're like an L5. You're like, how is that? How's that possible? It's like, well, that's corporate bureaucracy. That's how that's possible. So, but yeah, I mean, that's you just apply that to the federal government, right? And it's at scale.
Multiply it by a million.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder, I don't know how many federal government employees are there.
It's gonna be staggering, dude.
How many?
Because remember, that includes mail carriers,
Yeah, that's true.
military recruiters, like everything.
Let's see. As of October 2024, the US federal government employs approximately 3 million civilian workers, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This figure excludes military personnel, but includes employees of agencies such as the US Postal Service. There you go. Overall government employment, which includes local and state level, totals about 23.5 million workers. Wow. Let's see how many people are in the total workforce. Total workforce size as of October 2024. The civilian labor force in the United States consists of approximately 168.5 million people. So this includes people age 16 and older who are either employed actively or are actively seeking employment, right? So you're either currently employed or you're seeking employment is 168.5 million people. Additionally, there's around 100 million people that are characterized as not in the labor force, which means they are neither working nor looking for work. So there's 23 million people in state and local government, right? So 23 out of 168. That's 14%. 14% of the workforce in this country. Well, actually, it's probably higher than that because it's 168 million people that are considered either employed or looking for employment, right? Like I want to know how many people are actively actually employed. That's a good question. Shout out to ChatGPT, by the way. There's firing away at these answers. All right, so it's not that different. It's about 160. So it's about 160 million people are either employed full time or part time. So 23 divided by 160. Yeah, it's still roughly 15%. So 15% of the workforce in the country works for either federal or state government. That seems like a lot,
You would think, right?
considering of how many different sectors there are. Like 15% seems like a lot to do nothing, to literally just be awful at their jobs, right? And not be able to get anything done.
I'm all for it. Fix it.
Yeah, get rid of them. Uh, all right. Well, you want to wrap this up? I think we're about that time.
We can wrap this up. So this was something I did actually last weekend. I didn't do it. I know this has been the cooking beginning and end episode. Uh, Potato cooking hack. So like roasted potatoes.
Hmm.
So I just noticed. Sorry, been to Italy once. Disclaimer: people forget. I did notice though, like the style that they cook like roasted potatoes in over there, just a little different. Like
Hmm.
there was something, and I'm like, all right, well, like what did they do or like whatever. So I looked up like, I think I literally just looked up like how do Italians roast potatoes or something.
Yeah.
So the one recipe I found, then I actually did it, and it came out like they came out like really quite good. So I basically took, or what it suggested was putting oil in the bottom of the pan and then putting that in the oven first, so
Oh,
that when it comes out, then you
it's
put
got
the
hot
raw
oil.
potatoes
Yeah.
and it's hot. Like, yeah, they sizzle a little bit, but it's not like anything crazy.
Right.
Um, so what I did was I put the oil in the bottom of the pan, threw it in the oven cold, preheated the oven,
Yep.
and by the time the oven preheated, the oil was hot, like ready to go. Um, and then put my potatoes in, roast the potatoes. Came out pretty fucking good. Pretty
Huh.
good. So, and I think like the idea is it's supposed to be like crispy on the outside, like super soft on the inside, and it actually kind of did. But the
Do you
in the
flip
cold,
them at all, or you just
I
kind
flipped them halfway through.
of okay?
So I think I cooked them for like 45 minutes, and I flipped them after 25, something
Okay.
like that.
Are these cubed?
Um,
Like, did you cut like dice
yep,
them, basically cube them? Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
And but I think the in the oven cold, that might be the way to go. Because then it's like up to temperature and you're not sitting there being like, well, do I put it in there for 5 minutes or do I put it in there for 10 minutes? How long do I put the I don't
Right.
fucking
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that was my move. Highly recommend it. Especially
I
because
have to
sometimes
check it
roasted
out.
potatoes, they just come out so fucking mediocre sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll give them a shot. That sounds pretty good.
Would recommend.
Just like like are we talking
But
like a coating, or you got?
yeah,
Are
so I
you
used a
looking at
glass
like
Pyrex. So the recipe said, or the recipe that I was using said like 6 tablespoons. I go, all right, well, I don't know how much that is. So I
Yeah.
actually did the 6 tablespoons. Honestly, it was just a layer of a rectangle Pyrex. I'm not sure the exact like measurements.
Yeah.
It's not as
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
as a cookie sheet, but like
Right. I know what
just
you're talking about.
whatever that standard kind of size is. And it was just a coating for the bottom of that.
Yeah. I was like a
That's what
6 by 10 or whatever.
yeah, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Um,
7 by 11. Who knows?
who knows? But yeah, it was like just it ended up just being like a coating, and um yes, very impressed with how those came out.
Hmm. All right. I might have to give that a whirl. 'Cause
It's easy. I
sometimes,
would say
sometimes
easy enough too.
potatoes can be underwhelming, right? Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say like I've never been like a big like cook directly on a cookie sheet guy. I always use like parchment paper at least.
yeah,
And yeah, it's just like sometimes like just not that good.
yeah, yeah. I've been like sometimes, mostly recently, I would just use the air fryer, right? Like I'll cut them
Yep.
up, like I'll cube them, whatever, and I'll just throw them in the air fryer. Um, but even sometimes then it just leaves a little bit to be desired.
Yeah,
Although
because like I
I've
say,
thought about doing the same thing. I can't imagine why it would be any fucking different. They're just potatoes. Um, but like when you make French fries in the air fryer or just in general, if you let them soak in ice water for a few minutes, it I don't know, it has something to do with like breaking down the starches on the surface. Um, so there's more surface area, so then they get crispier on the outside and stay softer on the inside. Um, I've never actually done it, come to think of it, with like the like chopped potatoes. I've only ever done it when I make my own French fries. Um, and it seems to work. So that could be
I've
another.
seen that before where people chop up potato and throw it in ice water. I never really knew why they did it.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to do with like the starch, like breaking down the starch or whatever. There's another way I saw. Do you follow Olivia Tide?
Um, I don't know if I see her stuff
Yeah, I've
fairly
definitely sent
frequently.
stuff from her to you before.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. She's pretty good. She's like a private chef or something
that's what it looks
somewhere.
like because she does like a lot of um plating, smaller
Yeah.
portions. Seems to be a step above like
Yeah.
cooking
But like
normally.
recently she's been doing a lot of kind of like how-tos or like tips and tricks and things like that. Um, which has been pretty cool. And I think she showed there was another way to make potatoes that effectively kind of does the same thing where it breaks down the starches on the outside. So it just increases the surface area when you go to fry it, which obviously whether you fry in oil or air, it doesn't matter. It's just more contact, right? The more surface area you have, the more contact you're going to get. Um, but yeah, she's pretty good. I like following her and like the food that she makes and stuff. It's some of it I'm like, dude, I would pay an exorbitant amount of money to eat that. But um yeah, so I will try that next time I make potatoes. My final thought is um last Thursday, I went to Philadelphia for the day for work. So I had a 7 a.m. flight out of Boston. And then I had a 3 o'clock flight home from Philly. Um, so it worked out fine. It's only an hour, right?
Yeah, it's
It's an
close.
hour
I
flight.
knew it was close.
So I again my plane took off from Logan at 7 a.m. I was on site at the building that I needed to get to, which is in a suburb of Philadelphia by 9 a.m. So like between the whole like do the taxi thing on the runway, actually fly, land in Philly, taxi over to the spot right in Philly, get down to the Uber spot, get an Uber, take the Uber, drive there, 2 hours from wheels up in Boston to me walking in the door of the place in Philadelphia, 2 hours.
It's a risky bet for your employer.
What do you mean?
So it's a 7 a.m. flight. You need to
Yep.
be on site at 9.
No. I don't need to be on site at 9. I'm just saying, like, I got there at 9. Like, I'm
I was
saying,
gonna
like,
say
it's
because
super easy. Like, it's an easy trip.
if anything goes wrong, I'm like, you're not getting there for 9.
Yeah, no, it's a construction site. They're there at like 6 a.m.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I was just saying, like, it took me only 2 hours to get there, whereas it can take me 2 hours to get to Cambridge, right? Like the amount of time it takes me to drive from North Attleboro to Cambridge, I can fly to Philadelphia and also get to Conshohocken, which is the suburb of Philly that I went to. Yeah,
God
good
bless you.
old Conchi. Um,
Um, keep going. I have a follow-up question.
yeah. Um, so yeah, that was like a little bit of it, right? Like that's like, part B, I would call it. So like, yeah, it's super easy to get there. I got there. Unfortunately, I landed in rush hour, so it did take me 2 hours to get home from Logan. Um, so yeah, that was fun, and it took me longer to drive from Boston to North Attleboro than it did to fly from Philly to Boston, but whatever. Um, but the reason I brought it up was so we've traveled a bunch, right? Like obviously, here and there we go trips, you vacations, whatever, right? Like we've both flown significantly, over the last decade, right? Um,
Yeah,
I've
probably, I was gonna
always
say, I think I've probably flown 12 times since 2017. So, like, yes, frequently, because I didn't fly for 15 straight years, but
yeah, yeah.
um, I'd also like to just make sure it's like, hey, I'm not this fucking world traveler here.
Right,
But
right.
yes, go
Yeah,
on.
yeah, that's fair. Um, so typically, right, like I'll show up to the airport, just kind of flip flops, sweatpants, sweatshirt, right? T-shirt, right? Like sometimes like Crocs, right? Like make it super easy because you have to get through security, right? Like I'm not going to be dressed up, whatever. I'm not doing the whole thing. However, when I'm traveling for work, right? And I always used to think it was weird. You would be in an airport. Now, it is still weird because I've done it now, but people that are in an airport in like a suit and tie, like, hey man, don't be a fucking jabroni, right? Like you can wear khakis and like a button down. Like you don't need to go full suit and tie. Um, but whatever. So
I'm sure some people do, but yes, go on.
yeah, yeah. Um, so I'm there. I'm at Logan at 5:30 in the morning, right? For the 7 a.m. flight. And I'm walking around and I'm dressed to go to work, right? So I have khakis and a button down or whatever, a sweater or whatever the fuck I was wearing. And I'm looking around and I go, yeah, all right. Like I'm actually traveling for work now. So I actually have to like get prepared, whatever. I understand it, right? Now for years I was like, oh, that's so fucking weird. Like, or the other thing was like, oh, I can't imagine why do people fly in jeans, right? Like, oh, that seems so weird, which again, it still kind of is, right? Because if you have to fly for work, you're probably not wearing jeans. Um, and then if you're not, why not just be comfortable? But whatever. Um, so at 5:30 in the morning, I'm standing in line at the Starbucks for just waiting for my coffee. And there's a group of three women that come up behind me and they're wearing full on like going out to either like a nightclub or like a fancy dinner dresses. And I'm like, what the fuck
How
is
old are these
going
people?
on? Probably late 20s, early to mid 30s. Like they're roughly our age, right? Like they're
Okay.
not they're not a lot younger. They weren't super young, but they also weren't older either in their like 50s, right?
Yep.
So somewhere around 30s. Um and I was like, what the fuck is going on? So here I am saying, right, like now I finally understand people like having to wear real clothes to go to the airport. I get it, it's 5:30 in the morning, all this shit. And then I turn around and I see them and I go, now explain that. Right, like I said, like now I can get the as much as I'll shit on it, I'll get the suit and tie in the airport. Like I said, I understand it, but like what are you doing? It's 5:30 in the morning and you're dressed like you're gonna go out to like at Smith and Walensky, right? Or like, you know what I mean, like some crazy high-end steakhouse, like high heels. Like one girl had this like crazy, like really like bright red dress with like red high heels. I'm like, you're wearing high heel, like high, like I don't know how you judge the height of heels or whatever, but they were like, I don't know, 2 inches, 3 inches. I don't know if that's big, but they were big, right? Like whatever high heels are, like they were fucking huge. Like, what are we doing? Like, do you know it's 5:30 in the morning? Where are you going?
I was gonna say because there used to be the idea that you would dress nice for a flight. This is like way back in the day, like 70s or something. Like you would dress nicely for a flight because um it would make you like more appealing to get like an upgrade or things like that. And I'm like, that shit is not the same these
Yeah,
days.
yeah, no way.
Like if you go up and if there's an upgrade, you can pay for it.
Yeah.
And if there's no upgrade, it doesn't matter what you're wearing.
Right,
But that's the other thing too, is it's like, yeah, the upgrade fee is like $500. It's like I don't give a fuck what you're wearing.
right,
That's what it is.
right.
Um, So like yeah, I think it used to be like kind of on that idea. So like older people generally like dress up. I think I sent that post about the guy who was like talking about like, oh yeah, like I always like to wear a
Yeah.
suit because it's like it makes you more interesting when someone talks to you, whatever. And then someone's like, I try to look as disheveled as possible so I don't have to talk to idiots like you.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But yeah, so some people do feel like compelled to dress nicely, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't understand why you would wear heels on a plane.
Yeah.
Like like that makes no sense to me because even and it doesn't sound like they were dressed nice for business. It sounds like they were just
No,
dressed
because they were like giggling,
nice.
like going somewhere. They were going on some like girls' weekend trip or something, right?
Yeah,
But
so
like again, it was 5:30 in the
the
morning, and I
only
don't.
thing I'll give you is like maybe you don't want to that, so maybe you said I'll wear it. I don't know. Like I'm trying to like
Yeah,
reason with this.
yeah,
But like that doesn't make any sense to me.
yeah. They
So
weren't like it wasn't like a ball gown or anything. Like it wasn't like a
yeah,
full
I
gown,
don't know. Yeah, it doesn't
but it
make
was
any
like I don't know.
sense.
I don't know women fashion, right? Like would I don't know if it would also either qualify as a cocktail dress because I feel like that doesn't make sense either. Like I don't
Yeah,
know. But
I don't know.
whatever it was, they were extremely out of place. Like if you again, you see people with suit and ties, right, in an airport, and you're like, oh
Right, you
wow,
think
yeah, that's
business
you think business, right? And you see this, and I'm like, I don't know where the fuck you guys are going. Is there a club here in Logan? Like,
unless it's from the tail end.
yeah, maybe.
You got fucking hammered or they're at Encore and go, all right, let's fuck it, let's go fly somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe they hit
Maybe
big at
they hit at
Encore,
Encore and then
and then they were
decided
like,
to
yeah,
take a
let's just
fucking
go to
trip.
Logan. That would be actually hilarious, and that would make a ton of sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand why people don't travel comfortably. Now, every time I've seen someone in a suit, I assume they're traveling for work.
Yeah,
Um, I've seen some people like okay, so like I saw a guy in Florida last year because this was directly after I had the conversation with a girl who said, girl around our age, and she said her father insists on dressing nicely because that's what you do on a plane. And I looked up why or what the attitude was, whatever. So then we're in Florida. We get off the plane. Dude's wearing a blazer with a t-shirt, jeans, sneakers, and a fucking hat. What the fuck is the point of the blazer?
yeah. What are you
Like, do you
doing?
think that like really ties the outfit together and like people look at it and be like, wow, that guy's wearing a blazer. He must look nice.
Yeah,
Again, unless you're wearing it because you didn't want to pack it,
right.
but just be yeah, it's like it's Cartman from South Park. Just because you're wearing a nice sweater doesn't make you nice. Just because you're wearing a blazer doesn't mean you're dressed any like you're wearing sneakers, jeans, a t-shirt, and a hat,
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
put a blazer on, lipstick on a pig. Like, what the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. The airports, like people's choices too, like knowing that you generally have to take your shoes off and like people's choice in footwear at times,
yeah,
it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
yeah. Yeah, which traveling for work does get a lot more I not a
Yeah, because
lot
you need a
more. It gets
belt,
slightly more inconvenient, right? Because I
belt,
have to take
shoes.
off my belt. I have to untie my shoes, right? It's not as simple as like my Crocs, right? I just kick off my Crocs and throw them in the thing. Um and then you're like scrambling on the other end when the stuff does come out. Like I'm trying to stuff everything in my pockets.
Yeah.
Like I just take my belt and throw it over my shoulder, like trying to gather up everything so I can get out of everyone's way. And then I just get like redressed like on one of the benches on the other side. But I also in my travels, I also was the guy that was like sleeping on the floor in the airport when I was coming home from San Francisco. So I took a red eye home. So my flight left at like, whatever, like 10:30. I think it was like 15 minutes delayed or something. We were supposed to leave at like 10 or 10:15. We left at like 10:30. Um, but we all had different times that our flights were leaving, and my boss had the rental car. So he was like, I'll bring you wherever you want, but like I got to go to the airport and I have the car. So I was like, I'll just go to the airport with you and hang out. So I had like maybe 3 hours to kill in the airport. And it's like 9 o'clock at night, right? So I was like, fuck it. So I found a corner of the airport, like stuffed my bags together, laid on my bags. I laid on one bag and put my arm through the other bag, just like so no one can like steal my shit or whatever. And then I fell asleep for probably like 15, 20 minutes, took a quick nap on the fucking floor of the airport, the back corner of the San Francisco airport.
So San Francisco notwithstanding, because you just explained that one. So Philly, you're in, you're out, same day.
Yeah.
How early did you get to the Philadelphia airport to come home?
I
Did you
got
st
there at like 1,
for a 3 o'clock flight? Is that what you said?
yeah, 1 or
Yeah.
1:30,
So same type of
which,
timing.
by the way, I know this is stretching out the final thought here, but like the Philadelphia airport fucking sucks. So
Listen, dude. Like
flying
I don't
flying out of
ever see
Boston,
myself flying there ever because
so
I
you're
don't see why I would visit Philly,
yeah,
and I won't go to an away game in Philly because those people are just they're too
yeah.
much.
So you're in the same boat as me, right? Like you have Mosaic through JetBlue,
Yep.
and JetBlue is the hub in Boston. So with Mosaic, you get priority security, right? Like I walk to my Mosaic line, I show them my boarding pass, it says Mosaic, they're like, you can take this line. Stay away from all the peasants. You don't want to catch what they have.
You
And
just
I
if you're
say,
Mosaic, you go to the right instead of going to the
yeah,
left.
exactly. So I go, okay, perfect. This is great, right? Like, look at me. I get to be famous and skip all the bullshit. So I never had a reason to get like TSA pre-check or anything like that because I was like, I fly out of Boston, like I have Mosaic, it's effectively the same thing. But now that I travel for work more frequently, the other airports that I go to aren't JetBlue hubs, right? So my Mosaic is effectively useless. The Philadelphia airport, it's it's gross, number one. Um, the security line was absolutely ridiculous. I was in line for like 30 to 40 minutes, and there were two people for TSA at like the little booths, like checking people's IDs and stuff. So it's like, oh, also too, I don't know. Yeah, you might have seen this. You probably saw this when you went to Italy. They don't check boarding passes anymore. They just take your picture. You
Um,
hand them your license, and then you stand in
yeah,
front of the screen and they just take your picture, and then you walk forward. They don't need to see your boarding pass anymore. That's how it is in Boston, and that's
yeah.
how it was in San Francisco. Philadelphia did not have those screens. So I've, flown a bunch of times in the last 2 weeks. So I'm like, all right, yeah, here's my ID. And the guy goes, oh, do you have your boarding pass? And I was like, oh shit, yeah, sorry. Like I didn't know you needed that. And I was like, I've flown out of other airports and you guys don't do that anymore. And he was like, well, we do it here. And I was like, oh, sick. I got one of these
Well,
fucking
hey, that's what you get for fucking saying it. That's on
yeah.
you.
Yeah. So again, it took 7 seconds to pull up
Yeah.
my boarding pass and then just scan it, right, and be on my way. But I was like, wow, like, so you guys are pretty fucking behind, right? You only have two kiosks open. The lines are absolutely insane. You don't have the ability to just take my picture. Like, you need to scan my boarding pass. Like, this airport sucks. It's terrible. The people that were there were trash. I'll just put it as that. They were trash. Um, so just because of the Philadelphia airport and how much I'm going to need to go there over the next like 2 to 3 months, I will be getting TSA pre-check.
But TSA pre-check's also, I mean, it's cheap. It lasts a decent amount of time, and I think you just go to Staples to do it. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
I'm just a fucking stiff and haven't.
Yeah.
Although when now I don't even know because I flew 3 times. I flew in March, April, and May this year, and I forget which ones were which. Uh, but the TSA pre-check line. early in the morning was longer than one of the other lines. Um, one time when I went.
Yeah,
Because so that was like that's like the downside is it's so easy to get that like everyone has it
right,
that there will be times when it's like everyone's in the pre-check line and no one's in the other line.
right, right. So, yeah, Philadelphia airport blows. So that's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe up above, hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only listener as well. Uh, Rate and review the show on Spotify and iTunes. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is Sarcasm underscore Speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. The right at the bottom of the screen, right? I think I'm just gonna start doing that. There, all the social medias are on the screen underneath us. If you're an audio only listener, I guess you wouldn't see that. So I guess that's why I say it, but whatever. Um, check out the show notes below. Support the sponsors, support us. And until next time, good night, everybody.